Thank you so much, and welcome everyone on this very moderate day. The 190th Convocation of Gettysburg College will be opened with the posting of the flag of the class of 2025. Thank you, Sydney. I'm now pleased to introduce our Orientation Coordinator, Kayla Julio, class of 2022.
Thank you, Professor Berkner. We begin our ceremony today with an acknowledgment of the land which we stand on and the peoples who steward it across the generations. Gettysburg College is on unceded indigenous land, including the traditional homelands of the Susquehannock, Conestoga, Seneca, and Haudenosaunee Confederacy, Lenni Lenape, and Shawnee nations, and the connections of indigenous peoples to this land continue today. We have a responsibility to honor these connections, and we strive to understand our place within the past, present, and future of this indigenous land by reflecting on our relationships with the human and other than human relatives with whom it is shared. To the class of 2025 and their families and friends, good afternoon, and welcome to Gettysburg College. It has been such a long time since we were able to gather as a community like this. I bet all of you are excited. You should be. I know for some of you, this is the first time you have stepped onto campus. And for many of you, the past few years of your life have been spent working towards joining our community. That's why, before I begin, I would like to congratulate you and ask that you take a moment to look around. You are here, starting college, ready to explore and uncover your passions. My name is Kayla Julio, and I am your orientation coordinator. This summer, myself and everyone else in the Office of Residential and First-Year Programs have been busy preparing for your arrival, answering emails and phone calls, and putting together all of our plans for an unforgettable orientation week. I'm a senior this year, and like many other students, I spend my time engaged in a number of activities that I have somehow managed to wrestle into my schedule. I have made meaningful connections with community members and focused on educational equality as an ESL tutor. Serving as president of Art Club has allowed me to hone my time management and leadership skills. And finally, in working for Res Life, I get to use all of those skills and connections to contribute to one of the most important parts of your experience at Gettysburg College. Let me start by sharing with you one of my passions, my individualized, or what we call IDS major. One thing that I really love about Gettysburg College is that it provides you with the option to design your own major. If you're a student who wants to chart a truly original path for your career, you have the ability to design your very own course of study. When I heard about this, I knew it was for me. My self-designed major is titled Neuroaesthetics. I explain it to people as a deep dive into how the brain changes biologically when someone perceives a work of art. Yes, it's as awesome as it sounds. Did you know that in some instances, brain damage, strangely enough, can improve artistic production? Or that there are distinct populations of neurons in the brain that are activated when we look at a specific color? It's so cool. Throughout my IDS experience, I have formed relationships with so many incredible students, faculty, and friends in the greater Gettysburg community. Much like strengthening connections between neurons, my relationships here have strengthened as professors have conveyed their confidence in my capacity to produce great work. Currently, I have the experience necessary to make connections between the seemingly different classes I take and perspectives I learn. I can pay attention to both the big picture and the tiny details. I can recognize the potential of a blank canvas and a brain scan. You see, the relationships I have formed with people on and around campus in my 3 years here are what pushed me to try new things, like creating my self-designed major. The reason behind my choice to pursue both art and science is the people I connected with. The reason I upgraded my Spanish minor to a major was my professors who taught me and gave me the knowledge and ambition to then teach English to Spanish-speaking members of the greater community. The passion that those community members shared with me is the reason why I want to continue studying Spanish at a graduate level. While you will begin your college experience not knowing many people, the relationships you build in these next years will grow from within the campus, into the greater Gettysburg area, and further out into the world. Community is such an important part of the Gettysburg experience. It travels with you as you work towards what you are going to accomplish and how you decide you're going to do it. Just remember, every piece of unfinished work, problem, solution, they are ours to address. We are like those groups of neurons that respond to different colored stimuli, working together to produce the bigger picture. In my years at Gettysburg, I have been many times reminded of how lucky I am for those who support and inspire me. My family and friends, professors and advisors, and many others. Stace from the print shop, Regina from dining services, and Lisa from facilities, to name a few. I have learned that college is not a passive experience, but a place where you can challenge yourself to grow into the person you never thought you could be. A place where you can share your ideas and engage in differences, seeking to understand, not argue. Gettysburg College may be a small school in a small community, but it is alive with energy, and everyone who takes part in it is alive with passion. I encourage you to seek out that passion, your own and that of those around you. My hope is that you will come to see this community like you might see the coalescent neural networks in the brain. Reflect upon the course of your journey here, but remember that it is never just yours. It is ours together. Get to know the people in your residence hall, get to know your professors, get to know the facilities and servo staff. Pursue volunteer opportunities and meet people outside of Gettysburg College. And never forget those who support you and your passions. Class of 2025, good luck. I know you will do great work. And I am now pleased to introduce our faculty speaker, Benjamin Luley, Assistant Professor of Anthropology and Classics and Chair of the Classics Department.
Thank you, Kayla. Class of 2025, as this year's faculty speaker, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all here to Gettysburg College. My name is Benjamin Luley, and I'm an assistant professor in the departments of Anthropology and Classics, where I specialize in archaeology. I'm sure I echo the thoughts of all my colleagues when I say that by far the most meaningful and rewarding aspect of my career as a teacher is in working with the students in the classroom and beyond. In my time teaching at Gettysburg College, I have found our students like Kayla to be bright and motivated and eager to take their knowledge and use it to help improve our world. And parents, as a parent myself, albeit of much younger children, I want to emphasize to you all what a privilege it will be to instruct your children, to work alongside them, and to learn from them ourselves over these next 4 years. As an archaeologist, I study human societies of the past through the material things that these societies leave behind. One of the aspects of archaeology that has long fascinated me is our ability to tell stories about people of the past by piecing together small and often overlooked details from the sites that we excavate. These forgotten objects, buried in the ground, are often absent from historical records, but provide us the little details we need to help us paint a richer picture of how people lived in the past. Through the study of these often humble artifacts, we can better understand the lives of people who have, in many cases, been ignored, neglected, or even downright suppressed in historical writings and our own grand narratives about the past. An excellent example of this can be found directly beneath your feet here in front of Pennsylvania Hall. If you look down below your chairs, today there is nothing but green grass. But in the 1800s, a house once stood at this very spot where we are all gathered this afternoon. At the time of the Civil War, and then immediately afterward, the house was the residence of one Jack Hopkins. Now, when we think about Gettysburg and its importance to our national history, it is easy to think about Abraham Lincoln and the generals who fought here for 3 days in 1863, and that is important. But so often, the stories of people like Jack Hopkins go forgotten. Born in Maryland, sometime between 1813 and 1820, Jack Hopkins was a pillar of Gettysburg's Black community for many years. He was initially hired by the college in 1847 to be the janitor, which was no small task, as Jack oversaw the day-to-day running of numerous tasks crucial to the functioning of the college, from gathering firewood and keeping buildings warm, to tending the grounds and assisting the students, the faculty, and the president. He was truly instrumental to this place. Throughout his time here, one of Jack Hopkins' official duties was to raise the American flag above Penn Hall, right where your class of 2025 flag is flying today. He was also responsible for ringing the bell that hung from the cupola, which is now located across the street in the campus chapel. Jack Hopkins' house was originally built as a simple wash house and was first occupied by Jack Hopkins in 1860. And he, his wife Julia, and their 2 sons lived there until Jack's death in 1868. In those days, the north portico, where I'm currently standing, did not exist. And there was only a southern portico on the other side of the building. In the 1860s then, we would have been on the back half of Penn Hall. And so even then, Jack, along with the house where he lived, was somewhat tucked away from the face that the college tried to present to the larger world. Indeed, despite all of Jack's labor for the college, the extent to which even his contemporaries on campus truly appreciated his importance is rather unclear. This fall, along with my colleagues in anthropology, and of course with Gettysburg College students, we will be excavating here in front of Penn Hall in order to hopefully recover the artifacts from this house, along with any architectural remains, as an attempt to understand more fully the diverse social lives and histories of people who have lived at Gettysburg College, and in doing so, to be able to tell what is often a forgotten story. While many of you may not ever take a course specifically in anthropology or archaeology, although I certainly recommend it, I hope to leave you with 2 lessons from the story of the Jack Hopkins house that will hopefully remain with you in your years at Gettysburg College. The first is the importance of listening to untold stories and the voices that we as a country have often forgotten or ignored. When we think of Gettysburg, we often focus on the 3 days of battle here, as if nothing has ever happened before or since. While I do not wish to underestimate the deep significance that the Battle of Gettysburg has had for our nation, at the same time, it is also worth thinking about the stories of the people who lived here in this community, such as Jack Hopkins, but whose voices have often been lost to history. Indeed, we sometimes forget that a human presence here stretches back thousands and thousands of years, back to the First Nations, who walked on this land well before any European settler. It is, of course, all too easy to remember only certain stories, and the absence of any tangible trace of the now lost Jack Hopkins house reminds us that there are still stories waiting to be rediscovered. In your lives as students, and then as citizens of this country and of the larger world, it is important to remember that the stories and voices that we need to hear are not always the ones that we necessarily want to hear, nor are they the ones that are always officially promoted by the great and powerful. So often we prefer to ignore the voices of the people truly integral to the functioning of our communities, and we tend to place them, so to speak, on the back half of the building, or leave their stories forgotten in the grounds. As you pursue your studies here, I encourage you all then to reach out and listen to voices different from your own, and think about what we can learn from the stories of people forgotten, people like Jack Hopkins. Secondly, I want to emphasize the importance of multiple perspectives and the need for different disciplines when understanding the world around us. Just as it is important to listen to different voices in different human stories, and not just the ones that we are comfortable with or want to hear, so also it is important to employ insights from different disciplines as we seek to confront the challenges and problems of our world. In the case of the Jack Hopkins house, while archaeology can provide one important interpretation of Jack Hopkins in his life, archaeology alone is not sufficient to understand the complexities of his story, and other disciplines can provide other crucial insights, including history, public history, Civil War studies, and of course, most importantly, Africana studies. You all are fortunate to have made your way to a premier liberal arts college where multidisciplinary study and thinking is emphasized. As such, I urge you to think about what you can learn beyond your major and beyond your own specific interests, and to think about how different sets of knowledge intersect to provide a more holistic understanding of the world around us. This well-rounded and multidisciplinary approach to your studies will serve you well in your careers and in your lives as national and global citizens. Class of 2025, you have the great fortune of having the opportunity of an enriching education. The world in which we live is burdened more and more with problems that need the kinds of solutions that only multidisciplinary sets of knowledge, attentive to the great diversity of human experience, can provide. In the next 4 years, I hope you find the forgotten voices of people like Jack Hopkins, who can help us complete the unfinished work that Abraham Lincoln beseeched us all to take up. Class of 2025, on behalf of the faculty of Gettysburg College, I welcome you here and challenge each of you to do great work for which we know you are capable. Know that we will be right there with you, challenging you, supporting you, and believing in you. Thank you. I'm now pleased to introduce the president of Gettysburg College, Bob Iuliano.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome, class of 2025. We promise to give you a warm greeting. Seeing the number of people fanning, we may have overdone it a little bit. As president, it is one of the true privileges of my position to be among the first to greet you on this whirlwind day as you move in, say goodbye to parents, and start that remarkable stage of life known as college. Your path to this day cannot have been easy given all you've lived through this past 18 months in particular, but you've made it through, and you're here now, and we are tremendously happy about your arrival among us. All the other members of the Gettysburg College community, including the upper class students, the faculty, and our staff, and our nearly 30,000 alumni near and far, join me in welcoming you to what I'm confident you will fondly recall years from now as among the best years of your life. Now, in truth, you're going to have many best years in your life, but if you ask almost any graduate of this college, they're certain to tell you that they hold their Gettysburg College years especially close to their hearts. It's important, I think, to state an important truth, that you are about to enter one of the most consequential periods of your life, a time of personal and intellectual growth that will be of great and lasting consequences in all the years of your life to come. We welcome you as the newest members of this academic community. This is not the homogeneous community in which many of you have lived over the last 17 or 18 years. Here, you will meet people from many different races, backgrounds, beliefs, cultures, geographies, and circumstances. This is not by accident. It is very intentional on the part of the college. We pursue diversity because it is the truth of the world. And we pursue it because inherent to the educated mind is the facility and the inclination to want to understand how the world looks through another's eyes. We pursue it because without it, one cannot experience the immense joy and enrichment that comes from making friends and colleagues from people unlike yourself. We pursue it because we're a college ambitious to change the world, and what needs changing more than almost anything else is the reality that too often in this nation and around the world, we are finding it increasingly hard to speak to one another, to hear one another, to have compassion for one another, to find common ground with one another. So, in your years at Gettysburg College, you will have the opportunity to meet people unlike yourself, and I urge you to take fullest advantage of this opportunity. All it takes is a curious mind, an open heart, and a deep appreciation of the fact that every member of this community adds to the vibrancy of our collective experience. It is simply a privilege to be in a position to know and understand another's perspective, because it offers us the possibility that our own perspectives may change as a consequence and be expanded, deepened, widened, affirmed, or even changed. This afternoon, at this convening of the 190th academic year of Gettysburg College, you are entering one of this nation's great colleges. We are here to help prepare you for long-term professional success in a rapidly changing and increasingly complex world. We are also here to launch you towards a full intellectual and personal life, one in which you will find meaning more broadly and take pleasure in appreciating the intricacy and the diversity of the world around you. Now, membership in any community carries with it both rights and responsibilities. As you join this academic community, I'd be remiss in not touching on some of those rights and responsibilities. You will have the right to be treated with respect and the responsibility to treat others as they would like to be treated. You will have the right to express your own viewpoint and the responsibility to reconsider that viewpoint in light of new information and new insight. With the right of such an education comes the responsibility to acknowledge, first to yourselves and then to others, when it is the case that you do not know. True learning starts with that admission. It's not an admission born of weakness or ill-preparedness. It is rather a sign of intellectual and moral confidence. In coming to Gettysburg College, of course, you have elected to spend the next 4 years of your life in a historic and consequential place, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Tomorrow, you will take your first-year walk, one of the college's most distinctive traditions. As you process as a class through the streets of Gettysburg to the Gettysburg National Cemetery, you'll be welcomed along the way by upper-class students and townsfolk alike as our newest citizens. It will be energizing and uplifting. But the broader point of the walk is to provide you with the opportunity to reflect upon the consecrated ground you will walk these next years of your life. Great sacrifices were made here in service of fundamental human rights and the nation itself. You will trace the path walked by the students in 1863 as they followed President Lincoln to the dedication of the new Gettysburg National Cemetery. Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, regarded by many as one of the finest speeches in the English language, gave us renewed belief not just that our young country would survive, but that we should and must commit to the founding principles articulated, if not then or now, fully realized when the country was formed. Principles of equality, dignity, and the inherent worth of every person. Lincoln challenged us all to resolve to complete the unfinished work of creating that more perfect union that the founders had promised. I don't think I need to remind nor convince you that in our time, in the here and in the now, the unfinished work of which Lincoln spoke remains unfinished. The full promise of America still eludes us. It is my hope that in your years of living and studying here, in this historic place of great consequence, that it will fill you with the resolve and the determination to lead a life of meaning, purpose, and contribution to that unfinished work. let me offer some final thoughts about the promise we make to you as new students of this college. We promise you a consequential education, one that will empower you to lead a consequential life, a joyful life of contribution to the world and to the lives of others. A consequential education means that we will develop your intellectual dexterity, that ability to walk around a problem thoughtfully before choosing your way to solve it. We mean an education that will deepen your emotional intelligence, crucial to being able to empathize and communicate effectively with others. We mean an education that will allow you to sharpen your skills of discernment, necessary for being able to separate fact from fiction, from opinion, recognize the better ideas among the lesser ones, and choose the better path when there is a choice to be made. Your consequential education will hone your capacity to adapt thoughtfully and nimbly in response to unexpected changes in your personal and professional lives, such as what we have all been through these past 18 months. And you will learn how to convert your aspirations into concrete, tangible action, a lifelong skill that will hold you in good stead whatever life throws at you. Now, obtaining a consequential education is not a passive process. It just doesn't get poured into you. You are here because you have our full confidence that you can do great work, both as individuals and as members of a team. Just remember, we are here to support you. There will always be someone nearby who can lend a hand. We are all here to do great work, and ultimately, we need each other to do that. So, my charge to you on this opening day of your college experience is to embrace the opportunity before you. Lean into the entirety of your experience here, and whether you find yourself in a mind-bending philosophy class, on a field of play, or in a clinic in Ethiopia, take it on with a full heart and an open mind. Finally, have fun. Trust me, these next 4 years will fly by. So take the time to explore this place. Enjoy the cookies. You'll hear a lot about that. Build those friendships that will last a lifetime. Honor one another. Engage with your professors and support the work of this great community. Class of 2025, welcome, and together, let's do great work. And now, for the moment of your matriculation. Will the class of 2025 and all new students please stand if you are able for the matriculation ceremony? A few moments ago, I spoke to you about Gettysburg College's promise of a consequential education. Within your programs, you will find our promise more fully articulated, a tangible statement of commitments to you and the belief we have in you. Please read the promise statement, reflect on it, and keep it with you during your time at Gettysburg, as you work to discover your greater purpose in the world and how you will choose to live your own consequential life. As a matriculated student, your name is now entered on the list of those who have studied at Gettysburg College since its establishment in 1832. Your class pin, which you will find attached to the promise statement, designates that you are a member of the Gettysburg College class of 2025. So if you now take out your class pin, please. I'll give you a moment to do that. And as you do, please place your pin above your heart. You will now, congratulations, you will now make your way through Pennsylvania Hall to begin your Gettysburg College. We invite you to wear this pin again 4 years from now when you will process the opposite way through Penn Hall to receive your diploma at commencement. Class of 2025, congratulations on your official matriculation to Gettysburg College. I'd now like to welcome Provost Chris Zappi for the Honor Code recitation.
Good afternoon. Your first act as a student of Gettysburg College will be to recite the Gettysburg College Pledge. The mission of Gettysburg College, which affirms the worth and dignity of all people and the limitless value of their intellectual potential, relies on mutual trust as its foundation. Honesty and integrity are the heart of this trust and crucial to community in which intellectual achievement, scholarship, and character can flourish. By affirming the Gettysburg College Pledge, you assume the obligation and the responsibility to be honest in your relationships with each course instructor and with all members of the college community. So I'm going to ask you to please recite the pledge along with me now. I affirm that I will uphold the highest principles of honesty and integrity in all my endeavors at Gettysburg College, and foster an atmosphere of mutual respect within and beyond the classroom. Thank you. You may be seated. And now I'd like to introduce Liv Duffy, class of 2022, to lead you in the singing of the Alma Mater.
As softly the evening shadows are veiling the campus towers, we come, a band of good fellows, to sing in the twilight hours. The silvery moonlight mantles, the worn walls of chapel anew, the wind in the trees sweetly echoes our praises of orange and blue. Whenever thy loyal ones gather to wake in fond memory, our thoughts shall be turned alma mater, old Gettysburg, back to thee. Forever am I thy debtor, and whatever else I may do, I'll love, I'll defend, and I'll honor the glorious orange and blue.
Liv, that was beautifully rendered. Thank you so much. We're just about done, folks, but you have a little traveling to do in a minute. The platform party will recess toward the class of 2025 and guide the faculty around the east and the west sides of Pennsylvania Hall to the old quad on the other side of this building and continue down along the center sidewalk to the lamppost to welcome you, the class of 2025, into our intellectual community. Once the platform party and the faculty begin recessing, I ask that you, the class of 2025, enter Pennsylvania Hall as a symbol of your matriculation at Gettysburg College. You may choose to follow the class flags up the stairs to enter the building and go through, or you may move through the ground floor entrances to the old quad for the farewell reception with your folks. Ushers are available to assist both the platform party and the faculty as well as the students. Families are invited to join students and faculty following the recessional. We thank you for your good attention and also for hanging in there on this very hot day.